Kamala Harris just detonated a political bomb that's tearing the Democratic Party apart. Her explosive new memoir calls Biden's 2024 campaign reckless, while exposing systematic sabotage by White House staff who deliberately undermined her vice presidency. This isn't just political tell-all drama, it's institutional breakdown that reveals how power struggles within administrations can destroy electoral chances and party unity. The memoir represents unprecedented breach of democratic loyalty norms. When former vice presidents start publicly attacking their running mates' decision-making while exposing internal sabotage, party cohesion collapses. The media reaction reveals the magnitude of this political earthquake.
Okay. The Atlantic has published an excerpt from former Vice President Kamala Harris's forthcoming new book. In it, Harris details the challenges she faced when Joe Biden dropped out of the race and she was suddenly tapped to run for president.
President Kamala Harris now says it was reckless to allow President Biden alone to make the decision to run for re-election. It's the first time Harris has ever suggested Biden should not have run again. In a new book, Harris is also criticizing President Biden's team for limiting her role as vice president and fueling negative stories about her. Chief Washington correspondent John Carl is here with the details. Hi, John. So this is a big turnaround for Harris. How far is she going with this criticism of President Biden and his staff?
It's an incredible turnaround for Kamala Harris. You have to consider that during the whole episode after the debate, when Democrats were struggling with the issue of whether to abandon Joe Biden, Kamala Harris never suggested once, publicly or, I am told, privately, that Biden should go, that he should abandon his efforts to run for re-election.
What do you think about these revelations?
I have to say, I did not have Kamala Harris taking the gloves off on my bingo card, but I respect that she wants to set the record straight for the history books. Listen, I give her tremendous credit for a few things that she did in that 107-day stretch. She raised over $1 billion. She locked up all of the Democratic delegates within 24 hours. She kept a rigorous schedule on the campaign trail. She did many things that I think no other politician could do in that time span. But I think in many ways she was set up to fail. And I'm not saying that this was some grand strategy against her, but it's a rule of thumb in White Houses that presidents and their teams are always looking out for the VP. They don't want them to take too much of the spotlight. They don't want them to do better than them. So what happened is oftentimes things she was doing didn't get credit. When negative things were said about her, there wasn't pushback for her. And she goes into great detail about this.
The acknowledgement that Harris was set up to fail exposes systemic dysfunction within Democratic leadership. When White House staff deliberately undermine vice presidents to protect presidential egos, electoral success becomes impossible. Harris's specific revelations about this sabotage are devastating.
She writes, during all those months of growing panic, should I have told Joe to consider not running? Perhaps. It's Joe and Jill's decision. We all said that, like a mantra, as if we'd all been hypnotized. Was it grace or was it recklessness? In retrospect, I think it was recklessness. The stakes were simply too high. This wasn't a choice that should have been left to an individual's ego, an individual's ambition. It should have been more than a personal decision. I was well aware of my delicate status. Lore has it that every outgoing chief of staff always tells the incoming president's chief of staff, rule number one, watch the VP. I often learned that the president's staff was adding fuel to negative narratives that sprang up around me. When the stories were unfair or inaccurate, the president's inner circle seemed fine with it. Indeed, it seemed as if they decided I should be knocked down a little bit more. Their thinking was zero-sum. If she's shining, he's dimmed. None of them grasped that if I did well, he did well. That given the concerns about his age, my visible success as his vice president was vital. It would serve as a testament to his judgment in choosing me and reassurance that if something happened, the country was in good hands.
Harris's memoir exposes the institutional toxicity that destroyed Democratic electoral prospects. When White House staff operate on zero-sum thinking, where vice presidential success threatens presidential standing, strategic coordination becomes impossible. The economic implications are staggering. Over $1 billion in campaign funds wasted due to internal sabotage. The rule number 1, watch the VP culture, reveals systematic mistrust within Democratic leadership. When chief staffs institutionalize vice presidential surveillance rather than collaboration, administrations fragment into competing factions that prioritize personal protection over governing effectiveness. Harris's brutal honesty about Biden's recklessness and running again demonstrates necessary accountability missing from Republican politics. While Trump demands worship and forbids dissent, Democrats finally engage in honest self-examination about strategic failures and leadership mistakes. The contrast is politically significant. Harris raised over $1 billion and secured all delegates within 24 hours, proving her capabilities while being systematically undermined. When competent leaders face institutional sabotage, both individual careers and party prospects suffer. The memoir's timing suggests Democratic reconstruction beginning. Rather than maintaining politically convenient silence, Harris exposes dysfunction that explains electoral failure. This honesty creates opportunity for institutional reform if Democrats choose learning over loyalty. Subscribe for Democratic Party reconstruction analysis and political accountability coverage. Hit that notification bell for Memoir Revelation updates. And tell us in the comments, should political parties prioritize honest self-examination over loyalty protection? Your engagement helps us track how institutional honesty affects political evolution.